order at 6 p.m. and this is a planning public meeting. Any declaration of interest or general nature thereof, does somebody have an interest to declare? No interest to be declared. I will read out the preamble prior to beginning the public consultation. Personal information collected at this public hearing is collected under the authority of the Planning Act and will be used to assist in making a decision on this matter. All names, addresses, opinions, and comments are collected and form part of the minutes which are available to the public. Questions regarding this collection should be forwarded to the Director of Planning. The purpose of public meetings is to present planning applications in a public forum, which is required by the Planning Act. Following presentations by the applicant or staff, members have an opportunity to ask questions for clarification or for further information. The meeting will then be open to the public for comments and questions. When you speak, please provide your name and address for recording in the minutes. All comments should be directed to myself, the chair of the meeting. The applicant will be provided the opportunity to address public questions once all members of the public have made their submissions. For the applications being presented tonight, a report and recommendation are being presented to council. Following a council decision, notice will be circulated in accordance with the Planning Act. If a person or public body would have an ability to appeal the decision of council to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but the person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the township before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. Okay, first item on the agenda tonight is D14-2022-003 vacant land, County Road 32, Leeds Concession 1, Part Lot 12, Highway 32. And we'll ask the planner to give a brief overview and then we'll take questions.
Thank you. Through you. This is an application to rezone the severed parcel of an application. The property is located directly south of 217 County Road 32. On the screen in front of you, the total property is shown in blue, but the area subject to the zoning amendment is outlined in red. The purpose of this application is to rezone the northern portion, which is outlined in red, from highway commercial to rural zone to allow a house to be built on the property. The property to the south will remain zoned highway commercial, and it's intended that that will be developed with the use in accordance with the zoning on the property. This application was circulated in accordance with the Planning Act. There was one inquiry received today, which has been distributed to council. Just in responding to this, I would point out, first of all, that staff did respond to the person that submitted these comments. So they do have the responses. With respect to this, many of the concerns are about the entrances, traffic, and grading and drainage. Given the location on County Road 32, there is only one entrance proposed that will service both parcels. So the consent application that was submitted includes rights of ways to formalize and legally establish that access point. So the county has reviewed that. The commercial property to the south will be subject to site plan control, and through that process, there will be grading and drainage and stormwater management will be reviewed, as well as the sizing and design of the entrance and the culvert. So most of the concerns that are addressed in the public submission that's provided will be addressed through site plan control when the commercial property is developed. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Madam Planner. Any questions from council? Councillor Fody and then Councillor Maybe.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Your Worship, through you to our Director of Planning. Excuse me. On the road allowance, the plan is to have two separate lots here on the same road allowance. Should one of these lots sell to another owner, there's still adequate room and nothing will be compromised. I mean, we got a double driveway width, I'm assuming.
Through you, the driveway width is in accordance with the county policy, so it's 7 meters wide. Right. The right-of-way that's been applied for establishes that this is a joint driveway between the parcels, so it will be legally established. So regardless of ownership, if one parcel or the other transfers, that right-of-way is enshrined and will be maintained as one driveway to serve both properties. And each of the resulting lots have adequate area to accommodate the uses.
Thank you. No, I'm somewhat familiar with the lots, and it doesn't show it here, but the commercial part of the lot, most of that is quite elevated. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to Director of Planning. Yes, I have been by the location as I drive by it every day. And for the drainage part that is listed here, they've already done some of the work. And certainly the area of the one home to the south end toward the fire station is very elevated. The proposed one to the north is got a rocky outcropping where they've actually placed this. But certainly the drainage is there and the field is adequately high enough to the adjacent ditch of Highway 32 that I don't see that there would be a drainage issue. My biggest question is, there has been some substantial work already completed on the site, and there's material resting there, which there's no harm there. But I just question whether the work that's been done on the landscaping or the rock removal is in accordance to this amendment.
We don't have a site alteration bylaw in the township, so any work that's been done, if it's in the proximity of the water course, it would require permits, but nothing's been done in that area that's required to be permitted by the Conservation Authority, so everything's in order on the property.
Okay, any further questions? Councillor Jameson.
Just picking up on this, the individual that's submitted this, and it's really not our jurisdiction. The discussion centers around the road, which is a county road, 32. So are you aware of the county plan for that road? I'm a frequent user of that road, right? And yeah, it's can be very challenging. So I'm just based on what I'm reading here. It is, I agree. So are we aware of what the county's plans are, Your Worship? Sorry, I'll get the protocols right one of these years. Are we aware of what the county has in mind for that piece of property or that road stretch?
Go ahead, Madam Planner.
Through your worship, no, I'm not certain what the county's plans are. However, it is a county road with controlled access. The property has been approved for the entrance, and both the zoning amendment application and the consent application were subject to county review, and the county's the approval authority as it relates to the consent application. So the county has been involved in all steps of this process.
I guess what Your Worship, raising is maybe the county should be asked to take a look at that stretch in general as one that could use a little tender loving care with respect to how it's constructed and the line down the middle and shoulders and a few things like that. I don't know if you share that, counselors down there, because you live close there, but I certainly see it as one of the more challenging stretches of county road we have.
Just as an aside, there could be a petition put forward to reduce the speed from the 401 to Station Road, perhaps, if that was a concern. If you're talking about the constant turning of vehicles or something to that effect. I know that many of the other mayors have shown their displeasure on county of reducing speed limits on county roads, because their county roads are supposed to be secondary roads, be able to get places faster than maybe a back road or a township road. But the reality is the density of the population continues to accumulate in certain areas. From a public safety point of view, it might be germane to actually entertain that. So if the county has already seen this and circulated the application, and they have no concerns at this time, it would be up to the residents to bring forward concerns of any, traffic congestion or high speeds or what have you. So I understand your concern, but unless the county is made aware of it through that mechanism, they've given their approval.
So, Your Worship, if I understand you correctly, that comes from the residents as opposed to us.
Correct. There would need to be a petition to reduce the speed in the area if residents had concerns about the volume or the type of traffic that's going or turning in and out of there. Not particular to this particular application, but when another piece of property was being sold in the area just closer to the 401, I know that was one of the things that they looked at was the turning the in out and whether or not one entrance would be sufficient or what have you. But at this point, nobody's brought anything forward to myself to come to county unless they've done it directly. So I don't know of any concerns in that area. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, with the number of businesses that are already in that area, one residential with, if there's a business actually going in there, the impact of additional highway traffic, I would say, is very minimal. Having traveled there many times with Greens being busy, veterinary clinic and Leader Monument, there's vehicles coming in and out. In the veterinary clinic particularly, there've been a lot of close calls more there than anywhere. So I'd be hard pressed to say that the volume is going to be much increased.
And the owner of the property has every intention on putting a commercial entity on there. So, or at least that's my understanding. Any further questions from council? Seeing none, are there any questions from the public? Sorry, I'm just. So we have attendees. There's no hands up at this point. If you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please raise your hand. The function is at the bottom of your screen, just midpoint in your screen. Sorry, Deputy Mayor Lackey, do you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up. Nope. Okay. Oh, Mr. Haffey, who I believe is the applicant. So just wait 2 seconds and we'll get you on the screen and then we'll unmute you. Okay. There we go. You're unmuted, Chad. Go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. Not sure if it matters to the discussion, but the county did originally have some questions about the commercial use and the amount of traffic that I have coming and going from the proposed building of the business. And we don't have customers that actually access our location for our purpose. It's just employees. So that helped, I guess, get approval from their side of things of the single entrance for both properties as well. So those were discussions that they had some questions of me at the very beginning of the application process. So I thought I'd just share that information.
Okay. Are there any further questions for Mr. Haffey? I don't see any hands up, so you're off the hook, Mr. Haffey, at this point.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so no other hands up at this point in time. So going forward, we'll move forward with 3.2 D14-2022-004 549 Station Road. So we will ask the planner to give a brief submission. She's just pulling up her report and then take questions.
Thank you. Through you, this is an application to rezone the property at 549 Station Road, as shown on the screen, outlined in blue, to allow for a contractor's yard. The intent of the applicant in allowing for the contractor's yard is to allow for vehicle parking associated with their business. They are a construction business. Their work is all off-site, and so this would, more than anything, be a storage area for the vehicles when they're not in use. Employees would come to the site, get their vehicles and leave. And it's not a daily event based on the information provided from the applicant. This is something that goes from time to time, and a lot of their work is outside of the area. So it's more of a storage area for the vehicles associated with the business. Notice for this public meeting was provided in accordance with the Planning Act, and to date, there have been no inquiries or input received in response to that. I'd also note that the applicant is on the line if there's any additional questions about the business.
Any questions for the application? Councillor Gorell and then Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, through you, your worship. Is it in the photograph, is it the lightly shaded area in what would be the southeast corner where the planned parking lot is?
Through your worship, it would be this area in the back here, which is already stone at it's
Okay.
bedrock at the surface.
Okay, so there's no concern with what looks like drainage going through that, that area.
No, the application has been reviewed by the Conservation Authority and no
Okay.
concerns have been indicated.
Thank you.
Counselor Maybe and then Counselor Olkey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through to the Director of Planning. So any of the trucks will be parked back there. Any repairs to the trucks will be probably taken across the road. I think in our original information pack that came about this possibility. And then my other question kind of goes along with that. Any vehicles that are derelict or not operable will be removed from site, so they're not left there for long periods of time.
Through your worship, yes, I would say so. I would also note that this would be subject to site plan control. So we would also be looking at any site improvements such as screening or fencing or anything as part of the site plan control application.
Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Olkey.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, just to confirm for myself, this is just to be a vehicle park and storage area, not for materials.
Based on the information supplied through the applicant, that's correct. The primary use for this area is vehicle storage.
Thank you.
Counselor Fody.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Being a fleet parking lot, is there any intent to have fuel on site? Do you know?
Through your worship, no, there's no intent at this point to provide any fueling on site.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments in regards to this application from council? Seeing none, I will ask if there's anybody in the gallery or in the virtual gallery, if you will, who has a question. Please raise your hand, use the raise hand function. We do have one call-in user and I forget the *7.
I think it's 6.
*6, if the call-in user wanted to ask a question. I don't see any hands up. So at this point in time, we'll move forward with the adjournment of the public planning meeting. And the motion comes forward from Councillor Maybe and seconded by Councillor Fody that the public meeting adjourn at 6:17. All those in favor, please signify. All those opposed, and we're carried.